Welcome back, gentlemen. Vacation time's over, I fear.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, it's time for me to force you guys to talk about UCLA sports again.
CEO's back, no more PTO.
Yeah, no more PTO, dude. To the listeners, apologies for our extended delay. Some personal travel came up, and that kind of broke up the schedule. And then Kyle and I actually had kind of a lost episode last week, which was...
That sucked. It was a good one.
Oh, we recorded for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Dude, Kyle and I recorded for probably 90 minutes. It probably took 1 or 2 hours of notes, and then I go to upload it, and it was just shit. It didn't work, and wasted everybody's time. It was great. Okay, so today we're actually joined by our first guest. I want to say, is it since Pat Cowan, or am I totally wrong?
Maybe one of the David Singleton episodes, I think.
So Singleton has been on since Pat Cowan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, today we are joined by one of the more active and, in my opinion, ball-knowledgeable members of the UCLA sports community on X. His handle is, and correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly, his handle is at eSabro3. Am I saying that right?
Sabro.
Sabro.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kyle may remember there was a Cincinnati Reds baseball player years ago named Sabo, Chris Sabo.
Chris
So
Sabo.
that's how. Yeah.
Rings a bell.
It was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
it's Sabo. But
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Well, most just call you Ethan. I know you by Ethan.
Yeah, there you go.
Ethan, welcome to the show, man. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me on. I've been a big fan of you guys ever since I found y'all, and so it's a huge pleasure to be on and talk a little bit of ball with y'all. I'm excited for this season.
Yeah, that was actually one of my further questions is how the hell did you come across SBS, and how long have you been a follower? And do you follow us on Instagram?
Yes, so I do. I think I actually came across the Loyalist first, and I saw the Loyalist reposted one of the SBS episodes or something, and I found it on X. That's how I first found it.
Okay.
And then I saw you guys had Russ Stong on shortly after I found y'all, and I was like, oh, these guys are awesome.
You referred to Mick Cronin, Loyalist, as the Loyalist. Kyle, I think that's what you got to rebrand it as. I know it's kind of, you want to shout out Mick, but I think just being Loyalist is a fucking sick-ass handle. That's my
Loyalist.
Dude, I have this separate UCLA fan chat, and you're kind of a legend in that. I mean, SBS in general is too. There's probably 15 UCLA accounts in there or so. It's a small chat, but we just call him the Loyalist.
I love it. Okay, that kind of brings me up. I wanted to ask you this because the UCLA X community is a very interesting place, as I'm sure you're aware. Any individuals or accounts that you enjoy the most, or that you want to shout out, or that you find to be the highest of quality, or even the kind of the funnier, weirder ones? Give me a couple off the top of your mind.
Oh man, there's a few. The first one that pops in my head is Kosher Bruin.
Oh, of course.
That guy is hilarious. That guy's a legend. There's some let me see who else. I really like this guy. He just goes by Jack on Twitter. He's got some really good ball knowledge. I don't know what his actual handle is.
Mike Regalado.
Mike Regalado.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gotta love some Mike.
Do you know? Okay, how about here's one for you. Ralph, is it Ralph Irvin or Irwin?
Yes,
Okay.
I do know that guy.
I'm a fan of Ralph, and I kind of want him on the show after you. I think he'd be good on the show.
He'd be good. You know who else is a wild account to follow is the CPA guy, Richard something or other.
Yeah.
The end of his handle is CPA, and he's
Yes.
a legend in that UCLA chat also. Yes, this guy.
Can
Yeah.
you click on the profile picture, Kyle? I want to open it up bigger. I want to see.
It's him and a bass.
Yes.
Okay, I do.
Legend.
Yeah, he's solid. Okay, when you said kind of a wild follow, I got a question for you. Do you know the account? I think is it GD or DG?
Yes.
Because, yeah, dude, Ethan, you're almost kind of I'm afraid to say whether I know that account or not.
Yeah, dude, he always shows up how on the bottom of your mentions there's show spam comments. The best thing in the world is when you're nothing's going on. It's middle of the day on a Tuesday, and there's some random Indiana Hoosier account, and underneath whatever he happened to tweet is GD just saying the most toxic thing you could possibly think of.
Literally threatening serious violence. While we're still on the topic of Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure if you guys saw this. It was a few hours earlier in the afternoon. Ben Portnoy of Sports Business Journal tweeted that UCLA football has been gifted $1 million by the estate of Richard Stiller. Stiller had been a licensed attorney in California since the late 60s and earned his undergrad and JD from UCLA. Had you guys heard that news?
No, first time
Yeah.
for me.
I mean,
Ethan and I were chopping it up about it earlier.
$1 million isn't. I mean, it's not insignificant. I'll take that. Put it towards
That's
a left.
Kyle,
Put it towards a
Yeah.
left tackle, dude.
I told Kyle we should put it on Terry Rozier unders and double our money.
Okay? Are they all going to prison forever? Are they fucked?
I don't know about prison though. They're not going to play another game in the NBA though.
But is that not what do you call racketeering or that's a? When you're
What happened to
you're,
Jonte Porter? Where's Jonte Porter at? It's the same thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta imagine they're gonna snitch their way
Yeah.
up, and eventually it'll land on some mafia guy or something like that.
Okay, my biggest takeaway is I'm a big Sopranos fan. I was just this is fucking awesome. I didn't know the Italian mafia was still a thing, and they're talking about Peanut Johnny and shit. They're using legit,
Albanian Joe.
No. It was Banana Bobby. I'm this is great. America is back. So, boys, the last time we actually met on this show, God, it feels like years now. It was in the aftermath of the Penn State upset win. So we're singing a bit of a different tune this time around. I'm curious. I guess I'll start with you, Keon. What was your level of disappointment for this loss against Indiana? 56-6, was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
10 being the most disappointed I've ever been at a UCLA football performance. I'd say I was about at a 5. I didn't expect to win this. This Sun run had to come to an end at some point. I have a ton of respect for what Cignetti and Indiana have done over the last couple years. And I kind of believe them to be the best team in the country. I think they're better than Ohio State. But, yeah, I didn't expect to get much out of this. And then the moment that we threw the pick 6 literally on the first opening drive of the game, I was like, okay, it's going to be a long afternoon.
Did anybody get vivid deja vu flashbacks? I might have already spilled the beans on this on Twitter. I think you guys might have seen it. But that was I felt like someone had played the YouTube rerun of the Utah game at Utah with Dante Moore. Because it was the same direction. The uniforms were the same. It was it was the second play of the game, I think, or was it second or third play of the game? Regardless.
Yeah, it was in the first 3 plays.
It was
drive.
Flashbacks to that game, man. And I mean, I'm in the same boat, Keon. Actually, no. I think I'm a little bit more disappointed than you because, I mean, I obviously was not expecting a win, but losing by 50. I didn't think it'd get that bad. I just kind of thought that a lot of things were working, especially on the defensive side. Things were starting to click a little bit. So I was really kind of interested to see if they would cover, which did not happen. And, it was just an ass whooping. And I don't think we've seen I think I did the research on it. I think that's the biggest deficit since there's 50-0. That was a 50-point deficit. But the only bigger one that has taken place that I'm aware of while I've been alive was 59-0 against BYU in 2008. That one fucking sucked. I meant to ask you, Ethan, how did you become a UCLA fan? I got way ahead of myself. What's your deal? Why do you know so much ball?
I had some family that went to UCLA, quite a few family members, and I remember going over it. My grandpa's an alum, and I remember when I was young, my dad would drop me off at my grandpa's house on his way to work, and I would just watch on VHS tape the 1995 Wizards Again is what the movie was called, and me and my brothers would just watch that on repeat every day at my grandpa's house, and that's really where it started for me.
Was Wizards Again a UCLA thing or what?
I think the Wizard of Wooden was the Wizard of Westwood. Was his nickname or whatever. So it's Seth Davis is the one who narrates it.
Now I get it because we won the title.
Not a big
95.
Seth Davis guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that makes sense. Won the title 95. Wizards Again. That's a badass title. Get your hands on that tape and send it to me, dude. That's fucking sweet.
Oh, dude, I got it.
Do ya?
My wife gave it to me as a Christmas gift a few years back.
Wow.
That's thoughtful as hell. I hear also a bit of an accent. Are you Southern? There's a twang there.
I live in Virginia now. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's these West Coast start times kill me.
Well, dude, those are the types of fans that I really appreciate the most. Is like, guys from different regions, or maybe have like a different kind of connection to UCLA. I think that's kind of the most refreshing because, we all know just like alums that live in LA, but I think what UCLA needs the most is just like kind of like fans from elsewhere. I was in Chicago for the Michigan State game. I talked about it extensively on the Lost episode with Kyle and I. And we went to a bar in Chicago, and it was like hundreds of framed photos of Bruin alumni, sports alumni, jerseys and stuff, and it's in the middle of Chicago. And I went up to the owner. There's like probably 30 or 40 UCLA fans there. I went up to the owner, and I was like, dude, like we do not even have one of these in LA. Like one of these does not exist. Not even in Westwood. Like Barney's in Westwood does not have that level of like UCLA shit in it. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm aware. And we actually talked about bringing him on the show. So I still need to reach out to the guy. But that was cool. But no, that's sick to hear that, you're out there kind of waving the flag out in Virginia.
There's actually there's a really good following in the DC area of fans. We all kind of meet up at this bar in DC called the Astro Bar a couple times a year and watch some games together.
Really? Are they mostly alums or what? Like what's the deal?
I think it's an alumni group that sets it up. You guys may know Peter Eric on X.
Yeah,
you may have seen his stuff. He's the one that kind of connected me with that group.
Does he live in DC? I don't want to air out his personal locations, but okay, he's in DC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, right on.
I've seen him at like the Maryland. Like every time we play against Maryland, I see him there too.
Okay. He interacts with SBS, so he definitely knows who we are, so hopefully he tunes in. If you're listening, hi, Peter. But I guess going back to the Indiana game, get back on subject. The way I kind of took that game was like, and this could be a huge cope, and might get clowned for it. I feel like that was almost more about like how good Indiana was versus like just how bad UCLA was, because like Illinois, that's not a good football team, but they're not like a joke. Like they beat SC. I think they kept it within 2 possessions of Ohio State. Like they've had their moments. I think Luke Altmaier's kind of cool, and they got absolutely cooked, worse than we did. So like, I feel like this doesn't completely undo all of the good that Jerry and Skip did in the 3 weeks prior to that. It certainly didn't like make it better. But I'd like to say that game was more about Indiana and the job that Cignetti's done and just how fucking good they are. Because Keon, I completely agree that I think that there's no real question that that's the number 1 team in the country.
And listen, when people tell me that UCLA can't do this, look at what Indiana did in 2 years.
I know.
Basketball school, public school, and then they turned it around in fucking 2 years where they made the playoffs, and now they're arguably the best team in the country. Like, don't look at me in the face and say like UCLA can't do something similar.
Yeah.
If you really dedicate to it.
Ethan, or I guess anybody, does anybody have any new names, candidates that they want to share? Because I know we've all talked about Jed. Is there anyone that you guys have in mind? You're like, we got to start talking about this guy more.
Some more openings,
That's the fucking
Mr.
thing,
Kelly.
man. Because I'm just saying the market is
the
market is so big that you're gonna have to start getting creative with some of these names because, we're competing now again against Florida, against Penn State, LSU, like you fucking name it.
Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. There's tons.
Yeah.
I posted on the SBS, or I commented on one of your posts a while back I was like, what do you guys actually think about bringing Mora back?
All I can say is this. I know for a fact that if he was offered the job, he would take it. He would come to UCLA at the drop of a hat. And I know that I might be kind of speculating on this, but I really strongly feel that he feels like he has unfinished business at UCLA. And part of that I feel like is true, but my opinion on that is like that should just be left to UCLA history. It didn't end well. In those first 3 years, I think, were pretty good, but things have been so bad in the last 25 years that those 3 years are really kind of just held on to so dearly by UCLA fans. But they really did have a lot of problems throughout them. I mean, you look at some of the talent on those defenses, dude. List the 2014 UCLA defense, and it wasn't even statistically a very good D. So, like, I appreciate the hell out of Jim Mora, and he's my favorite coach of my lifetime because, the Wasserman facility, the guy clearly cared. He recruited at a high level. The guy had fucking grit, and I think that the program coming out of the 2000s needed that desperately. But I think that there were just a lot of like inherent flaws with that entire. You called it administration, or is that only for presidents? for that coaching administration, I think that there were just some issues that I'd rather just not revisit. And Jim's no longer. I mean, he's not old, but he's in his mid-60s, and that's just not really the direction that I personally want to go in unless somebody else thinks that I'm a fucking idiot for that.
Why don't we throw Carl Durrell in the hat? He was actually my favorite coach growing up.
I'm clipping that and posting that just so I have a reason to fire your ass.
Oh, no, I'm just fucking around.
Yeah. What's the name of the Sean Lewis, San Diego State? I had a friend of mine. I don't know if Andy listens to the show. I always give him shit for never listening to my show. He's one of my best friends. Lives in the podcast world. Refuses to listen to the SBS podcast. How am I not supposed to take that personally?
That's personal.
But he texted me the other day. He was like, "What about Sean Lewis at San Diego State?" I pulled him up, and they haven't really played anybody this year. But I think it's worth noting that he was the Kent State head coach, and he won 7 games there and went to a bowl game. I mean, that alone I think is very impressive. And he's like, he's got 1 loss so far at San Diego State. So if I had to
They can make a playoff run.
yeah, so if we're looking for that, the Indiana formula, that method, kind of transplant like a group of 5 team or a mid-major, that's my guy.
Was he the guy that was running around with Dion for one season as like the OC or co-OC?
I think so. That might have been in between Kent State and his current job at San Diego.
I'm still in the boat of just hiring an absolute splash name, just a household name. I mean, I think that we go back to saying it's the largest hire in UCLA athletics history.
It is.
I just don't think that you can gamble like this on someone like a Sean Lewis or someone that's not a sitting, head coach right now. Obviously, he is a sitting head coach, but mid-major. But like, throw your cards at and give it a go.
You want
James Franklin.
You want Franklin. I knew that's what you were getting at.
Yeah, I want Franklin. I mean, why not? I don't think he should have been fired from Penn State. I really don't.
Is that a hot take?
The guy was in the semifinal last year. He had a couple bad weeks.
But, I mean, here's the way I see that, is that the guy clearly had a big issue with getting over the hump and winning the big one at UCLA. Why would he be able to do the inverse of that at UCLA with far less resources? I mean, are we going to claim that we have more resources than Penn State does? I'm not going to say that on the record.
Probably wouldn't claim that, no. But, he probably could recruit very similar in terms of, it just goes like nowadays it's all about the cash. I mean, we know that. It's all about the cash and what your war chest looks like. So it's harder to sell, hey, we're in LA, we're close to the beach, we're in Beverly Hills, like that type of shit. But I think that James Franklin is just a name that would be able to fucking do something at UCLA.
This is kind of a separate point, but he owns the state of Virginia in terms of recruiting. Like anybody who's anybody in this state was going to Penn State. And so I would look out for Virginia Tech with Franklin in that way.
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we got James Franklin, I'd obviously be very excited. I'm just kind of trying to be devil's advocate. My issue is just like I almost kind of think that with the way this market has expanded and just looking at how obviously still willing teams are to just take on these massive contracts, massive buyouts, with the pool that UCLA is in right now, aside from maybe Jed Fish, and I've kind of heard recently that
it might not happen.
It's not looking good. I can't really think of a name that would be just not like a waste of time. And from my understanding of the situation, that time is very, very of the essence to make this happen quickly. So, to avoid a February of 2024, was it 2023? No,
Yeah.
24 we hired.
24.
God, that was a fast. He was here for like 2 days. Jesus Christ.
I'm going to throw out PJ Fleck again. I've been banging the PJ Fleck drum.
I hate to use such foul language, but you are a PJ Fleck meat rider, bro. You really are. But I don't really necessarily mean that a bad way. You love the guy. I don't hate the idea either because I think it's realistic.
Yeah, and it's not a bad choice. And then Will Stein's my other one, OC at Oregon. If one of the big boys like Florida or Penn State poach Dan Lanning from Oregon and just throw an absolute bag at him, and I don't think Will Stein's going to go become a coach, an OC somewhere else. So
One
yeah,
pushback against Will Stein that I've seen that as kind of like, I'm just a sheep here and I'm just easily influenced, is that like, well, yeah, no shit, he's doing a good job because he stepped into the OC coordinator under Dan Lanning at Oregon, and they have unlimited cash and a system that's clearly working. So it's like the guy stepped into probably the best situation that you could possibly like conceive as a first-time offensive coordinator. Now take that and you put it into probably the polar opposite. It's a fucking mess here in UCLA, and it's probably one of the toughest jobs. You could argue I'm not saying it's the worst job, but with the situation that you have to undo at UCLA right now, it's probably the biggest overhaul job that's open right now in this coaching carousel. So I think that's a big ask for a guy that has really only stepped into a situation that is pretty ideal. But again, this is my opinion, and I would be happy with the hire. I'm trying to be a dick.
Fair enough.
But it's the bye week, so I'm going to save Nebraska talk for next week because I actually want to have an episode next week because we're one for the last 4, so we got to save some material for 7 days from now. But I actually want to pivot for a change in a serious way this time to basketball, who actually plays an exhibition game tonight, I think, right, against UC Irvine.
Yep.
Was that game ticketed, or am I blind?
Yes, tickets came available very, very late, but I think they came available like 5 days until the event, honestly. But it is ticketed, yes.
Why? Oh, not why is it ticketed? Why sell them 5 days prior?
We wanted as little people there as possible, Ross.
Duh. What the fuck? I mean, we're just fresh off the San Diego State thing, and no one's even talking about the game. They're just talking
That
about
was packed.
how this was a March Madness type atmosphere, and then we don't sell tickets till 5 days prior. Is this me trying to shift this conversation towards hating on Martin Jarman? Yeah, but it's worth discussing.
Honestly, it's kind of crazy to me that the season starts on Monday and we can't buy conference game tickets yet. Like we have the non-conference tickets are available, but you can't go buy, like I can't look up and buy some Purdue tickets. I'm going to be in town for that game, and I don't know when those are coming available.
Yeah, those are only available on SeatGeek right now, and they're like ridiculously expensive on the secondary market.
Didn't some agency take over our ticketing and it was supposed to overhaul it and make it better? Or am I thinking of something else? Remember that?
That was like the Learfield comp, right, Keon?
I believe so, yeah. And that was the whole thing about the football tickets. I remember because the football tickets were also pretty late, and people were like, oh, it's because we're transitioning to this new system. And people were like, all right, well, whatever. It's the Rose Bowl. It's not like the tickets are going to be sold out or anything. But now when you have the number 12 preseason team in the country and you know, people are – you already went through this with football. Like, what's the holdup now, you know?
Yeah, and also, like, I think we've talked about it on the show before that, like, with this new era of all of your big non-conference games now being in neutral sites, you don't really get those Villanova-type games or what was another big one that we had? I mean, Villanova's the one that comes to mind.
I was at the Michigan game. I remember that Michigan game was wild.
Lonzo year?
2017? Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, so you kind of lose those big games that really turn a lot of the students into fans. And so you should be leaning all into Purdue. That should be available right now.
I mean, our big one like that this year is actually technically ASU, with the home and home with ASU. I mean, that's not going to draw. So you do have to lean on the conference games this year, which, I mean, I'll get into it later, but I love our home conference slate.
Wait, before we get into the home slate, we have a home and home this year against Arizona State?
Yeah, home this year, away next year in Tempe.
I took that as we're playing 2 games against Arizona State. I was like, why?
Yeah, no, hell no.
Dude, Ethan, you got to fly out for, is it Arizona at Intuit?
I'll be there. I'll be there for the Arizona game, and also the Rams play the Seahawks that same weekend.
Hell yeah.
I'll catch both of those.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean,
if you guys do like an event, you gotta hit me up.
Yeah. Also, are the planes just drowning out my audio? Really
Not
bad?
drowning out, but we're hearing it.
Okay. I'm doing my best to play with the on and off switch. Well, for sure, but if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of us are going to be at that Arizona game. No,
I won't be there.
What?
I'm
None of you?
in New York.
If I'm not mistaken, I guess I was like super mistaken.
Heavily mistaken.
completely wrong.
I say the words, I'm not mistaken, and you sip your beer and shake your head, and Keon just like looks down and shakes his head. I'm okay, well, I guess I just am fully fucking wrong. But at any rate, Kyle, I think you have kind of the first bullet point to start us off with basketball. What's going on in 2025, 2026, brother? How are we looking?
Man, I'm excited. I know Ethan's excited. We all should be excited. We got a good squad, as mentioned, number 12 overall in the AP poll. I think we're as high as 7, maybe in like a CBS poll, and then I think 10 in KenPom. So all over the place, but I think it all starts with one man and one man only, and that is the Donovan Dent, number 1 portal pickup in the country, first-team All-American last year. Preseason first-team All-American this year. I got a live look at him firsthand in the exhibition down at San Diego State and got my juices flowing. Man, I was excited. It's going to be a huge difference between who we had at the point last year. No knock to DA, great Bruin, but I was texting Ethan after the game. It's going to be night and day just in terms of his ability to, one, get downhill and, pass out of that, but as well as finish at the rack. So, Ethan, how fired up are you about Donovan Dent?
Dude, I'm so fired up. So this is actually kind of crazy. I want to drop something on you guys real quick about what makes Donovan Dent particularly transformative for this UCLA team. So last year, UCLA attempted just 20% of their shots at the rim. To put that into context, that was in the bottom 1% of all Division I college basketball teams, right? And so you could watch UCLA for 5 seconds and think to yourself, there's way too many mid-range jumpers going up right here, right? So essentially UCLA was at the bottom of NCAA in attempts at the rim and also in corner threes. We attempted just 7% of our shots from the corner three, which is in the 13th percentile. Those are kind of considered the 2 most efficient shots in the game, and that's what Donovan Dent does extremely well. In fact, Donovan Dent was in the 89th percentile last year for shots at the rim. This is kind of wild. Donovan Dent shot 226 shots at the rim. That's dunks and layups. And our entire 5-man starting lineup last year shot 242.
Bro, okay. First off, that's insane. But with last year with UCLA with those numbers, was that a personnel problem? Was it scheme? Like what led to that?
Yeah, I think that we just really didn't have anybody that was going to get downhill and attack the rim like what Kyle was saying. We had Bazmack. Bazmack was the one guy that would do that. The problem is he didn't really have a pull-up jumper to go with it, and he didn't really have a spot-up jumper to go with it, and so people kind of game planned for that. Whereas Donovan Dent shot 40% from the three-point line last year. And so you have to honor that with him. He's got a pull-up game. He's got a floater game. The reason the corner threes are important is because corner threes come available off of penetration, right? And DA just didn't really do that as a point guard last year. And Donovan Dent's going to get downhill. He's going to force the defense toward him, and that's going to open up corner threes and wing threes for our shooters this year.
I was going to say, which brings me to, I think, who I wanted to bring up next, and someone that caught my eye in that San Diego State game, not only for, being 3 for 3 from the three-point line and shooting 45% from 3 in back-to-back years in Jamar Brown transfer, but he as well looked really physical. He's listed at 6'5", 200 pounds, but he looked more like a 6'6". He played like he was 6'7", if you know what I mean. He was physical sort of on the glass, where I felt like last year at times Bilodeau or Daly would sort of have to get in there for a big to grab a board just to sort of get a hat on a hat. But Jamar Brown's going to be that guy that Donovan Dent can find in the corner 3. I think he made one of his 3 threes from the corner. But the dude's a shooter. Hopefully it doesn't end up, I know, Ethan, we were talking about it, end up being like the kid from LMU?
Oh, God.
Oh, we didn't play it, yeah.
What was his name?
I can't even remember his name.
It was last season, was it not? Or was that
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, well, and it was like a huge pain in the ass to get him into the school, and it went on for months. And then he was like, "Oh, he's cleared." It's like, "Oh, we have our shooter."
Dominic Harris.
Yeah, dude.
And that's it.
Well, he's still playing somewhere. I'm steering this away from Dominic Harris. If you could pick a player, UCLA player in somewhat recent memory, to compare Jamar Brown to, who are we picking? Are we thinking like this is like a Singleton type guy, like spot shooter, sniper kind of guy?
Kind of, except that David Singleton is like one of the greatest shooters in UCLA history. So Jamar Brown's probably not going to be like that, but he is like Kyle said. I mean, he's been a 40% three-point shooter pretty much his entire career. On top of that, though, the other thing that he adds is Jamar Brown last season was rebounding at like a level that gets you drafted. His offensive rebound percentage was in the 99th percentile of Division I college basketball players,
wow.
and his defensive rebounding percentage was in the 87th percentile.
Yeah.
So, so you got to keep in mind he's playing in a lesser league, right? He's playing at Kansas City, but the guy gets after it. He's got a fire to him that you kind of saw with David Singleton, where he's not afraid to get in there and mix it up a little bit.
He's one of those players that's sort of just like a rat, you know. I mean, he's 6'5", but he plays bigger than 6'5". He's a rat. I'm gonna call him a rat.
Fuck it. We're sticking with that. You're in too deep. That's the rat. Like, do you think he would like that?
Put it on a shirt.
Oh, thanks, guys. All right, I guess that works. Well, I mean,
Shout out our guy David Singleton, by the way, on the coaching staff now. Maybe he could teach Jamar Brown a thing or two about those corner threes.
Honestly, facts. I know it's kind of been like, we've kind of laughed, but not laughed that David's on the staff. It's just we know David. He's hilarious, and like the fact that he's like in a suit on the coaching staff is just kind of funny. But I think it's honestly a great point. I think people might be underestimating the impact that is going to have on players with a guy that's so freshly removed from the program that played under Mick and is one of, like what you mentioned, one of the greatest, if not the greatest shooter in UCLA history. So that's a good point. And going back to Jamar's rebounding, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's like been one of the biggest issues in recent years under Mick is a lack of rebounding on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, that's fantastic news for UCLA fans.
Yeah. One thing I think that we don't want to overlook with David Singleton is I think he brings sort of that players coach vibe to the staff where I mean, I can't say that Cronin's personality and the way that he conducts himself on the sideline gives off the most players coach vibe. So I'm fired up. I mean, Singleton's 26 years old, 27 years old.
Yeah.
So he's relatively in the, maybe 6'7", right? That type of shit.
I first thought you were talking about his height, and then I looked at your stupid little hands. And I'm like, oh, we're talking.
We're talking.
Now I get what we're actually. I don't get what we're talking
clue.
about.
I don't understand it.
But I know what you're talking about.
I don't understand either. That's all I know. I couldn't go further than that. Last two guys that I sort of want to mention. Ken, you got something?
No, I was going to make a joke that we were trying to cater to a younger audience a little more. We got to get our demographics better.
The SBS podcast is back after a hiatus for the all-new 6-7 episode. Tune in this Wednesday.
Let's return back to action. Last two guys that I want to mention about the portal, Booker and Jamerson. Booker, obviously coming from a very elite program in Michigan State, Tom Izzo, and Steven Jamerson coming from USD. Very interesting sort of set of players here, and Ethan, I'm really intrigued to hear what you have to say on them because one, obviously being at Michigan State, high recruit coming out of high school, didn't really live up to the hype. I think he averaged maybe 11-12 minutes last year at Michigan State. Bring him to UCLA, we'll see what Cronin and staff can do with him. But then you have a guy like Jamerson on the other end who played in WCC, averaged 25 a game, I think, or averaged 25 minutes a game, maybe 10 points a game, right? So you have a little bit of a combo there at the 5 with the departure, obviously, of a Daimara, which, we can talk about all day. But I'm excited for these two guys. I do think after the San Diego State game, there is a long way to go, and the development's going to have to continue throughout the season. But I'm excited. I'm excited for both of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about talent and evaluation, you kind of split people up into two separate categories, and that's the production players and the projection players. And Xavier Booker falls firmly into the projection category, where this is a kid who's 6'11", 7'4" wingspan. He runs the floor like a frickin' gazelle. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is an absolute athlete. The problem is there is a motor problem that you can see in his game, and there's a mental kind of lapse piece that you see in his game. A lot like if you guys remember how Baz would frustrate us at times with that, you kind of see that with Booker. Now, the idea with bringing him in, when you listen to Cronin talk about it, is this staff really believes that he was playing out of position at Michigan State. And Michigan State had him as like a stretch four kind of guy, and they're going to bring him in and they're going to try to have him be like a post five man. Very risky, very, very risky, considering like the issue is level of effort and IQ. And then you're going to take that man and put him down low in the Big Ten is a big risk. But I think Xavier Booker, when you listen to him and his kind of the stuff that him and his agent put out, like this is, if he doesn't get the motor corrected, this is the last stop in his basketball journey. And he has every tool you could possibly want to be an NBA draft pick and be an NBA five-man. It's whether or not he can bear down and fix those two categories in his game, which he absolutely, if he can do that, he could be a huge player for us.
And who's that on the staff that's responsible for the bigs? Is that Savina?
Yeah.
Savina, okay. I mean, well, we saw him do it to Daimara. I thought Daimara was taking big leaps right towards the end of last season. I mean, when we saw that Wisconsin game where I think that was sort of his breakout. And, if he's doing that with Savina, or Savino's doing that with Mara, I think he had him for a lot longer than he has with Booker right now. But that's promising. That's promising because there is going to be a lot of projection there, like you said.
I guess going back to my stupid devil's advocate shtick, let's say Booker doesn't grow into the role that we really want him to be, and that's a reliable Big Ten under the basket post player at the five. One thing that I want to say I've like picked up on like Twitter and just like talking to guys that know more basketball than I do is that like if you had to pick, if you're trying to win a national championship in college, not I'm talking about college basketball, you'd rather have issues under the basket kind of with your big man than have issues in your backcourt. And
Yes.
1,000%.
Okay, because that's what I've heard. And then watching the way UCLA's season unfolded last year, I'm dying on that hill. In that, let's assume the absolute worst. I hope this won't be the case, but let's say that the Booker situation just doesn't work out the way we want it to. I'd like to still think that UCLA is going to have a swinger's chance with this season at making a run at the 11th banner just because of the talent that exists elsewhere on the court.
It'll be exactly like last year when we didn't have Mara playing the five and we had to play Bilo at the five at times, right? We'll probably play super small, a lot of 3-guard lineups, which we saw a lot of actually in the exhibition game. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but I mean that would be the alternative.
To your point, though, Ross, this team is much better built for a tournament run rather than like a long, drag-out season. So it wouldn't shock me if we're, in that upper tier in the Big Ten at the end of the season, if we're somewhere in that 3 to 5 range in the Big Ten, but well equipped to make a tournament run. Because to your point, in college basketball, guards still win games. Guards beat good teams, and we got the guards.
Let's talk some returners. Obviously, we got 3 core guys back from the starters last year: Tyler Bilodeau, Eric Daly Jr., and Sky Clark. I think out of those 3 guys, my personal favorite to have a big year, and I think who's been most talked about on X, especially after that exhibition game, is Sky Clark. Sky Clark looks different, looks more physical. He shot the ball really well. He had a putback dunk, which I don't think we had ever seen from him.
Did he dunk ever last year?
Maybe.
I can find out for you real quick.
Please do.
Perfect. Please do. But yeah, I mean, he had a legit, rebound, jump, time the rebound, put back dunk in the game against San Diego State. So that was super easy to see. But he's just going to be a lot more freed up with playing with Donovan Dent versus playing with a Dylan Andrews. He's not going to have to do as much on the ball. And personally, I think he is probably one of the top shooters on our team. And he's going to just get a lot more open looks. Sort of just to going back to what Ethan was saying earlier, Donovan Dent being able to, get downhill and free up open shooters. I think Sky Clark is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of that game.
Also, just from an experience standpoint, this is a guy that's been in college basketball
Yeah.
for how many years now? He was at Louisville, was at UCLA. Is he in his 5th year in college basketball or 4th?
4th season, I do believe. Let me double check that.
Okay. Well, I mean, kind of my point is that you kind of felt that experience and just kind of like trustworthiness last year down the stretch. He was a guy, he's like one of those safe guys, that the kind of way I felt as a kid growing up watching Aaron Aflalo. I'm not saying Sky Clark is Aaron Aflalo. That's my favorite UCLA basketball player of all time in different positions. But just kind of a guy that down the stretch, I want the ball in his hands because I don't feel like he's going to make a fumbling mistake. I mean, you go back to there were multiple occasions last year. The first one that comes to mind is the Arizona game at the Footprint Arena.
Yep.
I think he had 2 trips to the free throw line where he had to make both of them, and he did it twice. So just like one of those guys that you love on the team because he's been in college basketball for so long. He's a cold-blooded killer down the stretch and doesn't really seem to be impacted by nerves, and that is the formula for March in winning games deep into the tournament, is having guys like that have been around the block.
The one thing, so he did dunk 4 times last year.
Okay.
But the one thing that I would watch for with the returners is Billow's going to have a little bit of a role change this year, where he was the primary scorer, like the go-to guy. When we were running down, we were running some kind of set to get Billow the ball in isolation, right? And in fact, his usage was 25% last year, which is really high. That's 92nd percentile. And he looked, maybe Kyle can answer this better since he was live. I was listening to the game on the radio at San Diego State. It sounded like he was a little bit lost on the floor about what exactly his role was.
It was tough.
Each time he was getting up a lot of shots, but it wasn't like what we saw last year where we'd get him the ball in isolation. He's too skilled for 5s, he's too big for 4s, and we had that matchup constantly. And so Chris Johnson actually wrote a really good piece about Billow needing to get back to post play. But that's something to monitor, is how is he going to transition into this new roster?
It seemed like we wanted to run a lot, and Donovan Dent wants to get out and run. And I think Tyler really struggled to sort of feel out exactly what that, how he fits into that, right? Because you think about him, just like you said, Ethan. I mean, we were running sets. We were running set plays to get him the ball in isolation or get him the ball in the post and sort of let him do his thing. I mean, countless times I can remember him, fade away down in the post, mid-range jumpers. A lot of those mid-range jumpers we talked about earlier were definitely him. So I agree. I mean, if we can get him the ball in the post and sort of let him do his thing, I think that's where he'll best fit. But a big role change indeed, because I think Donovan Dent is going to be the guy this year that we can go to get down the stretch. 2 minutes left. We need a bucket. Cronin's going to put the ball in Donovan Dent's hands and say, hey, let's get downhill. He's going to get to the line too. He's going to get to the line.
Well, I almost feel like you'll see some of his numbers possibly dip from last year, at least in terms of like maybe shots attempted, because when you have a guy like Donovan Dent, you don't really need that ISO type 4 guy as much because you're able to swing the ball, you're able to run, you're able to create plays because you got a playmaker on the court. So I don't know if that's really a bad thing. I just remember a few times last season when we really needed to rely on type, Bilodeau ISO situations, and that doesn't seem like something you're not gonna win a Big Ten championship. You're not gonna win a national championship by having to rely on something like that. That's so streaky.
Yeah, I agreed.
Quick
Go
question,
ahead,
Kyle, but what does it look like? Just playing that optimist role, like when a Bilodeau, a Donovan Dent, and a Sky Clark are hitting and they're on their game. and they're all playing the roles that that Cronin's drawn up for them. What does that look like on the court?
I mean, we beat San Diego State, who San Diego State is going to be a top 25 program, in my opinion, at the end of the year. They're going to be in the tournament. They're going to probably win the Mountain West. We beat them by 7. We're up by 17 at one point. And that's with Donovan Dent went 4 for 16 from the field, and Bilodeau went 1 for 7 or 1 for 9 from the 3-point. Yeah, 1 for 7 from 3.
And we didn't have Eric Daly playing at all.
And Eric Daly didn't even play. And Sky Clark sat out most of the second half, and so did Brandon Williams, who I really think Brandon Williams, could be a big part of this team as well. So the upside's huge. The upside is absolutely massive.
Yeah, I think the theory of getting Donovan Dent in space and surround him with shooting everywhere, literally every single player on the floor with Donovan Dent can hit it from 3, and just clearing out the lane, let Donovan Dent go to the rim. If they enclose, they're going to leave a 40% three-point shooter open. If they let him go to the rim, he's going to foul or get 2. And that right there is a winning theory. Also, if you remember back to like the really good, the Final Four team, there really wasn't a great defensive stopper on that Final Four team. It was just a bunch of guys committed to like staying connected and staying together defensively. And I think that's really Cronin's superpower is we don't have that stopper this year. Sky Clark is a good perimeter defender, but we don't really have that Kobe Johnson, Jalen Clark kind of stopper.
Right.
And so on the defensive end, it's going to be a Cronin special of just making sure that everybody rotates, cleans each other up, covers up, and continues to play team-oriented defense.
Did Kobe Johnson live up to the defensive hype, in your opinion, Ethan? More Kyle? More Keon? Fuck.
No. So Kobe Johnson came in and was projected to be an NBA draft pick when he came to us. I think there's legitimate reasons why it didn't quite work out the way we had hoped, but no, I don't think he did in my mind.
He was supposed to be, Big Ten Defender of the Year, and that's sort of what he was advertised as, was sort of that Jalen Clark figure. And yeah, I agree. Just didn't live up to the hype. I don't know where he's at right now. Has he earned a G League spot, Ethan?
He was running around in Summer League. I lost track of him. I can't remember if he picked up a 2-way. Maybe he picked up a 2-way with somebody.
Yeah.
He's on SBS podcast guest watch at this point, man.
We'll take him. We will absolutely
he was a
take
fun
him.
player, man. He was a fun player, and he played with a lot of effort, and he played the right way. He shared the ball. Sometimes he shared the ball too much. It just didn't. It didn't quite pan out like we had hoped.
And I'm trying to be funny. I definitely don't want to hate on Kobe Johnson. He had his moments last year with some of the pickpocket turnovers that were really fun and satisfying to watch. But no, I agree. I thought we were going to get the next. What's Jalen Clark's nickname? J-Rock?
J-Rock.
Thought we were getting our next J-Rock, and that's a tough task. Question: does UCLA have the best guard in the country next year? Could you make the case about Donovan Dent?
Oh, they got a pretty damn good one over at Purdue.
You could make the case. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not 100% sure we have the best guard in the conference, but you could make the case. The thing that Donovan Dent does specifically well is get to the free throw line. He attempted 7.5 free throws per 40 minutes last year, which is 97th percentile. There's really no other like lead ball guard that's getting to the line like that. Cronin loves easy points, and we didn't get very many easy points at all last year, so that would be kind of Donovan Dent's superpower, honestly.
And even that turnover margin. I know, Ethan, you shared a stat with me a couple weeks ago of his turnover margin compared to Braden Smith's at Purdue's, which was wildly surprising.
Yeah, I know. Donovan Dent kind of gets, because he's so fast and he plays in the open court, I think he gets kind of that turnover-prone moniker attached to him. But 2.04 assists to turnover ratio is really good, and actually a little bit better of a turnover margin than what you would see with Braden Smith last year. So,
Facts. All right, the question that's on everyone's mind. I know it's been on Ross's mind. It's been on Keon's mind. I can see it over there. Is Mick on the hot seat with just an average year?
Define average first.
Second
what's
round
the
exit.
floor?
Second round
exit.
Yes.
We're 3rd to 5th in the Big Ten. Maybe we get the double bye, like exact replica of last year.
He's on my hot seat. I just think with the amount of investment that's been poured into this team and getting Donovan Dent and the hype and all this stuff, he's kind of, I wouldn't say he's gotten everything he asked for, but he's been shown an investment and a support from the school, the fans, the donors, to a level that I think an Elite Eight is a successful year. I think you can make a case for a Sweet 16, but I think Elite Eight really is a minimum in my opinion. And that might just be me seeing the number one transfer in the country come here as somebody who doesn't know ball to the level of maybe the rest of you guys, but just purely as a fan perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let the level-headed guys go last, but I'm a diehard UCLA fan, and I still to this day, I mean, I have my fair share of critiques about UCLA football, UCLA athletics in general, but one thing that I still honestly believe is that UCLA is a true blue blood of college basketball, and it still has what's needed to be won in today's game. So I think UCLA as a school, as a basketball program, should hold itself to that standard, and our standard is not second-round exits coming off of years where you didn't make the tournament. So I think that, we'll see how the year plays out. I certainly think that this team has a Final Four caliber to it. But I'm in the same boat as Keon. It's a prove-it year for Mick. I think I don't want to repeat everything you just said, but he has his team. He has his guys. I think he has, from what I'm gathering from you guys, he's got a formula to make a deep run. If we're talking second-round exit, I think it might be time to make some tough decisions, but I don't even really want to put that out there right now because I think that there's too much to be excited about. And I'm still a Mick guy. I'm a huge fan of him. I like his brand.
Loyalists.
Yeah, I like his style, and he appreciates the job more than any other person that could ever hold it in America, and I'll always appreciate that. Kind of like let's say this doesn't end well, I will still look back on Mick like I do Jim Mora. The guy appreciated the job and he gave it his all, and that's really all you can ask. So I'll hope for a Final Four. We'll see what happens.
All right, you asked for the level-headed guys, so I'm going to go next. Mick Cronin should never be fired from UCLA.
You're talking to the fucking loyalists here. I forgot.
No, let Ethan go. Ethan.
So Mick's problem that I see is that he's kind of put himself in a tough spot in that he really doesn't do anything well except win. And he does win, right? But in terms of representing the university, in terms of recruiting, in terms of press conferences, we get a lot of negative publicity because of Mick Cronin, which is fine if you're winning at a high level, right? And so to your point, he even said in a CBS interview earlier this year, people at UCLA get fired for going to the Sweet 16, right? He knows what the job is. He knows what the requirements are. The big issue for me, more than anything, is the recruiting piece. We used to be kind of the go-to school, especially for SoCal kids. We just had maybe the best freshman or high school senior Southern California class of basketball players in my lifetime. At least the best crop of high school basketball players for at least a decade. And we didn't land a single one of them, which is hard to swallow. I get that there are financial concerns, and you kind of have to wonder whether or not committing that level of money to a freshman is a good investment. But five-star freshmen excite the program, right? And we're in the running for one of these freshmen who is supposed to announce at some point this week, which I'm really hopeful for. But if we don't have that level of recruiting, then you're going to have to win with the people that you do bring in. And so I'm with you guys. It's time to make a run.
He's been heavy on the portal. He's been very, very heavy on the portal. It's almost interesting to think where we would be without the portal. I mean, where would UCLA if there was no transfer portal in today's game? Would UCLA basketball be in the same state, or would we still be struggling getting recruits? And where would we be?
He's found a good niche with multi-year transfers, right?
Yep.
And getting them to develop and getting the bet. Sky Clark, if you guys remember, when he first committed, we were all like, I don't know about this.
Oh, yeah.
But he turned out to be a phenomenal player. And so he's kind of found his little niche with the Eric Dailies, the multi-year guys.
There was another. Who was the other perfect example of what you just said, Ethan? A guy that came in, I mean, like his crown jewel of development. I get
Was that last year's team?
No, Juzen could be a good example of that. I mean,
Yeah,
Juzen.
great example.
I think that might be it. I mean,
Poster boy.
yeah, if there's one thing that you can't knock Mick on, there's probably been certain cases that I thought that Peyton Watson obviously was not a good developmental project, but I think there's too many cases at this point from his time in Westwood where you can't really question his ability to develop guys into an NBA caliber player. I still don't really, now that I bring up the Peyton Watson thing, it's so weird that he struggled so much offensively at UCLA, and now he's still playing at a high level in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. It was with the Nuggets.
Peyton came in, like, that team was loaded, dude. That team had so many good players. I think it was a bad spot because of you had Tiger, you had Jules Bernard, you had Johnny Juzang, you had Jaime Jaquez. Like, where is Peyton Watson supposed to fit into that?
Was that the season before Bona arrived?
Yes.
Yeah. God, it's easy to forget because the seasons didn't end, as you would expect with the way they're performing in the regular season. But that was mostly due to injury, if not exclusively due to injury. Those were some seriously good teams, man, and just especially with the 22-23 when Bona and Clark both got hurt. If I were to pick, even including, I'll go on a limb here and I'll say I'll include the 07-08 Russell Westbrook Kevin Love team. I know they even made a Final Four at the super hot take, but I think barring injury, I think that was the best, the most championship caliber roster UCLA's had since '95. That might be a hot take because that 07-08 team was so fucking good. But I think without injury, man, I think that they give UConn a serious run at that title. It just hurts to even think about.
We were Ken Palm before the tournament began. Ken Palm #1 in the country.
Were we really?
Yeah.
What are we now?
We finished after the loss in the Sweet 16 to Gonzaga. We finished Ken Palm #3 that year. But
That's
when the
crazy.
tournament started.
God, and the fact that it took that Gonzaga team for another prayer to take them down,
Hail Mary,
I think that kind of proves my point right there, dude. What a fucking shame.
I mean, you had Nuba in there against Timmy. I mean, he was overlooked.
And he was battling in that game. Played really well.
Absolutely.
I remember, man, when
I love Kenny Nuba, man.
yeah, great Bruin. I mean,
I remember playing die with Kenny Nuba on Midvale a couple times. That dude
He was always
fiend
down
for the
for
die
hangout.
table. Yeah.
the only guy
Kenny was
that
always
the
down.
only basketball guy that I used to party with back in the day. Remember Jonah Bolden? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I one time woke up on a couch next to Jonah Bolden. I think I was a freshman. Shout out Henry. I won't throw last names on the show, but Henry had a sick
Next
apartment
time
back
on
in the day.
SBS pod.
Jonah
Untold.
Bolden.
I was out at a party when Juzang was deciding to come back or not, and just randomly saw Juzang.
I was at one too around then.
Yeah,
Might have been
and
the same one.
I got in his ear a little bit, so I'll take credit for him coming back.
Johnny Buckets.
I remember Lonzo came to one of our Sigma Chi parties back in the day, and the party just turned into a swarming of Lonzo party. It was so awesome because I was at the peak of Big Baller Brand.
Yeah.
I'll die on the hill that 2016, 2017 was the funnest year to be a student at UCLA in the last 20 years.
So sick.
What a time, dude.
People forget how electric that season was.
Oh my God.
Gosh.
Lonzo Ball was absolute must-watch. We also had T.J. Leaf was awesome that year. Ike Anibogu. We had one of the holidays back then.
Aaron Holiday, yeah.
Ethan, I might. I'm going to see if I can outball knowledge you here. There's one player in the history of the NBA to go 5-0 against LeBron James. You know who that is?
5-0. No way.
TJ Leaf.
I have no clue. What?
Yeah. Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to fact check myself. Hold on. TJ Leaf LeBron. Here we go. Yep, 4-0. Sorry. He's TJ Leaf had a 4-0 record against LeBron James in their careers. A fact often mentioned humorously as a surprising statistic. This is an AI response. This unusual record is based on the 5 games they played. This is why I hate AI. It says it's 4-0 based on the 5 games. Either way, he never lost to LeBron. TJ Leaf, to your point, is a fucking legend. I mean, he played the game like such a white boy. He would do the little like ball movement thing like it was like the 40s with his gelled hair.
But then he was dunking on people's heads.
No,
too,
I know.
dude.
I really don't mean that in like he was athletic as fuck, but his pants were up high and he had the hair, dude. I loved TJ Leaf.
If only he had the socks up high too. That would have.
Well, you know,
Don't forget about big Tom Walsh too. Tom Welsh. Thomas Welsh.
Tom Welsh. And you know what's a name? I think Thomas Welsh still is remembered very fondly by UCLA fans.
I love Thomas Welsh.
You know what's a name that gets kind of forgotten from that team that I thought is probably the worst decision I've ever seen in terms of early departure would it'd be I mean TJ Leaf's up there. I thought he would have benefited so much from coming back another year. But Ike Onibogu, man. Oh my God. He was not a one and done, but I thought if he had 3 or 4 years in college, he could have actually been an NBA big man one day. But
I need the story of how, like, what agent, how did that happen for him? Because he was such an athlete, but he was so raw. Like, there's no way he was ready to go to the draft.
He was
I don't think him in school matched. I don't think him in school matched very well.
Honestly, fair. They're like, yeah, it's funny with college, especially back in the day. Those were things that you just had to kind of like not forget about. Like you see like inexplicable jumps to the league. It's like there might be more going on than just the guy thinking, you know what, I'm ready, because he clearly was not. Who else is on the team that we're missing? I mean, Isaac Hamilton, I was always a fan of. I thought he played his role really well. And then
Aaron Holiday backed up Lonzo pretty well.
Oh, yeah, dude. You remember the game he had against Kentucky at Rupp?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Lonzo stole the show there, but he had a great game in that game. And then
Bryce Alford. Bryce Alford on that team?
Of course. I might die on the hill that Bryce Alford is way overhated. Obviously, that comes from his dad and his usage. But as a Bruin and just for him as a player, I'll always look back on Bryce and think, you know what? The guy didn't do anything wrong. He played his ass off, and he's a hell of a shooter. So there's not really anyone on that team that I wouldn't take back in a heartbeat. And that's not saying much. That was a great basketball team.
Another time, we'll look at Bryce Alford's analytical profile, and I'll make the case for why this guy should be remembered very, very fondly. We won't do that today, but another time.
Dude, I
love it.
Dude, Ethan, you scared me, dude. I thought you were going to be like, I'm going to pull out a stat line that shows you why he should be remembered as the worst.
Yeah.
I was like, did I just say the dumbest shit ever? And Ethan's going to make me look like a fucking idiot on the show. But yeah. Anything else about basketball that we did not cover, Kyle?
I wanted to just go through some predictions.
Okay.
I mean, sort of pissed. Vladdy just hit a 2-run homer, 2-1 Blue Jays. But, yeah, predictions. I mean, we got some big games this year. We got some fun non-conference games, some fun neutral site games, Gonzaga, Arizona. We got Cal at the Chase Center randomly on like a Tuesday night. Great slate in the Big Ten as always. So I'm hoping, and I feel like most polls have us at around third in the Big Ten at the moment, finishing somewhere behind Purdue and Michigan. I would go to say that this team should be in the Elite Eight. I think getting to a Final Four would be not a stretch by any means. But I think it's really going to depend on how the bigs develop throughout the season. If we can sort of incorporate the bigs with what we have at the point guard and shooting positions, I do think this team down the stretch can be a top 5 team in the country if we develop in that regard. If we don't, I think we probably stay somewhere between that 5 and 20 range and, you know, maybe fizzle out in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. So that's my prediction. Ethan?
So obviously last year was a little bit of a disappointment, but I do want to get this on the record that even in a down year, we went 9-0 versus our West Coast rivals last year, and we have a chance to do that again this year. 2 games against Oregon, 2 against Washington, 2 against USC. We got Gonzaga, Arizona, and Cal. That's a feather in the cap, and if we could do that again, that would be huge. I'm going to say I really believe in this team. I know the bigs are potentially problematic. I think Jamerson offsets the risk that you have with Booker in a really nice way. I'm going to say 14-6 in conference, which should put us somewhere in that 2-4 range. But I think we make a run in the tournament. I think this is a team that's built for the tournament. I think we get back to the Final Four this year.
Let's go.
I'm staying out of this one because I like the way that sounded so much. I want to end on that one because A, I don't know enough basketball to follow that up, and B, I want to see a Final Four. So I think I'm not going to fuck this up and disrupt that aura.
Final Four watch party. Where's it going to be?
It's going to be at wherever the fuck it's being hosted. What are you talking about? I'm going
over there. Yeah,
I'm going. I'm walking.
Well,
party.
You're the CEO. You got to come up with the plan.
There's your plan. I'm buying us all tickets, and we're gonna expense it to the company, which is me.
Which is just us. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Ethan as
Wait, I heard you guys got a sponsor though.
Are you talking about Onyx,
Onyx.
America's #1 social sports book? Use promo code SBS, deposit $10, get $100 in free gambling credit. Again, that's Onyx, America's #1 social sports book. Yes, we are sponsored. Also, Ethan, we got to get you, as a thank you for coming on the show, we got to get you a shirt. I think we're out of hats, but after this, send us your shipping info. I want to get you some swag.
I have 2 of your guys' shirts, and I wear them all the time. And people are like, what? What is this?
You strike me as a big Mick energy guy. Do you have one of those?
Yes, that's my favorite, dude. I wore that to the Maryland game last year, and
Hell yeah.
The Maryland fans loved it. They thought it was hilarious.
Dude, me and Keon, we were at, you know what COSM is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at COSM watching the UCLA USC basketball game, and this dad and son sit in front of us. Son's
Kid's
probably
like 14.
13 or 14 years old. He turns around, big Mick energy with SBS on his sleeve. I'm like, get the fuck. I was like, hey, children should not be following my accounts for the record, or listening to this show for that matter, Mr. Keon the Meat Rider. But
This is where the show goes unhinged.
yeah, see, hey, Ethan, remember when I said that it takes longer to edit this than it is to record it? It's for bullshit like this. But nevertheless, there's no better feeling than going to the Rose Bowl, going to Pauley, and seeing people rocking SBS gear. So I didn't know you already owned some swag. But if you don't have the new 2025 member shirt, that one's on the house and will be sent your way. Take that as a plug if you're a listener. Get your swag now. Join the Army. And let's take over the Coliseum, dude. Are you guys going to that game, Keon, Kyle?
I'm down to go. I was debating. I just know if I get a little too drunk in a hostile environment, I tend to get a little loud.
That's a game where it's important to watch your intake because
Exactly.
that's a recipe to go straight to jail.
Yep.
You know, knowing me, I don't want to go to jail, but
Exactly.
give me 10 beers in the Coliseum and I just might.
Yep.
I've never been to the Coliseum.
Well, you're not missing much.
So.
That place is a shithole. Well, on that note, unless there's anything else that people want to add, Ethan, you're the man, and this shouldn't be the last time. If you ever want to come on, let us know, and let's do this throughout the season.
Man, like I said, I'm big fans. I really, really appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The sentiment is shared, brother. Well, to the listeners, thank you guys. Sorry again for the delay. We'll try to be more consistent, especially as basketball season gets into the swing of things, and hopefully UCLA football wins out for all we know. So we'll be back ideally next Wednesday or Tuesday. We'll see how it plays out. But thanks again for listening. And as always, go Bruins, guys. We'll talk to you later.